Hi everyone. So yesterday we talked about Ulovdo Bechol Levavchem, which talks about the heart, and then soon we're going to talk about also Uvechol Nafshechem, which talks about our soul. You know, we're commanded to serve Hashem with all our heart and all our soul. But before we continue with this, the Nefesh HaChaim goes on explaining first of all, what does the word Baruch mean? Because when you pray to Hashem with all your heart, let's talk about the middle ground, and then we'll get to talk about later about the soul. The word Baruch is basically not what you used to think it is. Because in the definition it means blessing, bracha, right? But really, if you think about it, you know, who's the source of all bracha? Hashem, of course. But when we say Baruch, like, are we giving blessing to Hashem? We can't give him additional blessing because he's above it all. Therefore, Nefesh HaChaim explains a breakthrough, and it's built upon the Rashba, the Rishonim, the Zohar Kadosh, and the Gemara. It says in Rabbi Shmuel Baracheni, talks about all the sources. In a glance, he talks about how when you say Baruch Ata Hashem, or Fecholei Amo Yisrael, Baruch Ata Hashem, Mevarech Hashem, etc., and Shmona Esrei, you're basically, it's called Tosefet v'Ribu. In Hebrew means adding, and Ribu means harbe, which means a lot. You're adding a lot of what? When you say Baruch, you're not adding any blessing to Hashem because he's above it all. You're adding blessing to the world he created. In a glance, you have the four worlds according to Kabbalah. You have the world of Asiya on the bottom, and you have Yitzira, and then Bria, and then Atzilut, the highest world. All this, and Hashem's above it all. Hashem created all these four worlds. You know, our physical world in the universe here is on the lowest point of Asiya. If you take the world of Asiya, which means the world of action, it's not what we think action. It's also a spiritual world. On the lowest end of it, the spectrum of it, if you split it into 10, the lowest is where the universe and the physical world is. When we say Baruch Ata Hashem, what we're actually ultimately doing in Tefillah, we are adding additional what? Additional life and abundance to who? We're adding it to the world. We're throwing it up like a boomerang, up, and it goes all through all the worlds, from the lowest end of the spectrum to the highest end of the Atzilut. You know, just to remind you, our neshama is in this world, but it's also tied like a rope. It says Yaakov Chevel Nachalato. Chevel is a rope. Yaakov, the nation of the Jews, we're tied to the beginning of where it's tied. The source of our soul is in between Atzilut and Bria. That's where our soul actually is right now. It's tied, and it's tied over here, and it goes all the way down in this world to a body that we are in. But when we say Baruch Ata Hashem, we're throwing up this boomerang of bracha, of life, of abundance, to what? To all the worlds, from bottom to up, all the way up to Hashem. And when we press this button, which is called Baruch, we let Hashem, which is ultimately the source of all Baruch, he presses his button, throws back the boomerang from top to bottom, all through the world of Atzilut, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, all the way down to this world, to the Jewish nation, to us. We are also part of it. And that's ultimately what we're doing with Say Baruch. We're not just saying thank you, or praising, or blessing. No, that's Shevach Hodaya in Hebrew. Baruch Ata is we're blessing. We're blessing by adding our abundance. We are adding it because Hashem gives us permission. He's waiting for our permission. When we do our part, he does his. And when we throw the boomerang, he throws it back to us with all the abundance and life that it is. So it's a crazy thing, this whole boomerang effect of Baruch. You know, there is one Rishon that does mention that Baruch also could interpret the meaning of thank you. Baruch Ata Hashem, thank you for giving me health. Thank you for giving me forgiveness, etc., and wisdom, all that. But that's one Rishon. Truth is, we can have both these things in mind when we say Baruch and Tefillah. Especially for Tefillah, we have to have these things in mind. When we say Baruch Ata Hashem, we pause for a second. Baruch, and we think about, okay, thank you, which is one opinion, and the rest of the opinions do say it means adding. Tosefet v'Ribu, we're adding this abundance to the world, and Hashem is throwing back that abundance, but that's already on him. Baruch Ata Hashem, Fecholei Amo Yisrael, whatever it is. This is what's going on in Tefillah. Ultimately, what we're doing here is called Chesed. When we press these buttons of Baruch Ata, Baruch Ata, Baruch Ata, through Shmona Esrei, 3 times a day, we are pressing buttons of Chesed, because the whole world, all the angels, all the universe, Hashem himself is waiting for us to make this huge difference. That's why Chazal say, Tefillah omedet berumo shel olam. It's on the highest, on the top of the world, how great our tefillah is, because it does such a huge chesed. I like to call it Tfilat Chesed. Have a good day, everyone.